New York City is one of the most well-known conservative synagogues in the world, and its Cantor is bringing a unique twist to some classic prayers. Take a listen. Joining us now from New York is Cantor Schwartz of Park Avenue Synagogue. Hello, and thank you for being here.
Hi, Emily. Thank you for having me.
You have such a beautiful voice, and, you know, Bruce doesn't have anything on you. Let's start at that. I'm very impressed.
That's a big statement. Thank you. That's the biggest compliment I've received. Thank you.
So tell us, your grandfather was a Cantor. You're Israeli. You grew up here. You moved to the States. Was he an inspiration to you? Did you know at a young age that music and singing was in your DNA?
Well, I didn't, but I guess my grandfather knew, and most importantly, my grandmother knew. So I think she always, that legacy of my grandfather, who unfortunately passed away when I was young, it kind of carried, and through my childhood, right? They always told me, hey, you're going to be a Cantor, you're going to be a Cantor. And eventually after high school, I figured, you know, maybe I should explore this further, and you know, I served in the IDF as a Cantor, and then from there, just everything just kind of aligned.
So explain why, you know, spreading your wings in New York City. I mean, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. I mean, clearly you've been able to you know, take it to a different level, bring some creative momentum to what you're doing. Explain why it's such a liberating place for you to express yourself.
So, sure. So look, again, I grew up in Israel in a very sheltered community, in a kind of a modern Orthodox environment. And, you know, at some point, I felt like the kind of the religious values and my kind of modern values did not really align, when I actually discovered that Judaism is much broader and has, you know, so much more ways of expression and in a way that align with my values, and that's where, you know, kind of Park Avenue Synagogue reached out to me in my late 20s to move to New York and become their senior Cantor.
Wow.
And I have to say, it's been a very interesting and wonderful journey. We grow together, and I appreciate, you know, the community here and the love and for Jewish music and for culture and for Israel and for Judaism.
So also, you know, it's cool. We're seeing so many more religious leaders, rabbis, cantors, you know, that are finding a way to connect to young people, to bring the hip factor, which clearly you do. Explain how, like, as we evolve into modern times, it doesn't have to sound, you know, like it did back in the olden days. You know, you could make it much more, you know, interactive, people dancing. It really helps release the spirit and the soul.
Yeah, you know, Emily, it's a great question, because on the one hand, right, my job as a Cantor is a carrier of tradition, right? We talked about my grandfather's legacy, about the way of reciting the prayers that we believe is very, very old, and I have to cherish this and treasure this and keep it. And at the same time, we live in New York City. We fight for people's time and attention. And if we want people in our environment to show up to services and to be engaged in their Judaism, it gotta be good. It gotta appeal to their music sensibilities of today. And as you said, young people, right? You gotta find ways to connect with them, and that's where we like to bridge between the tradition and our traditional music, and of course the culture that we live in, and that of course includes pop culture as well. So if it's a B'nai Mitzvah student in such a formative age, and there's certain music that they like, and when you bring that music to their service, you just win their hearts, and that buys you kind of the credit to have them excited and curious about our tradition. So I think that's where it really comes from. To be very clear, I always think about this as the cherry on top of the cake, right? Our entire service doesn't look like Demon Hunters or right? It's a very traditional service, and we create new music. We invest a lot about the worship experience to make it really, really relevant and upbeat and joyful and reflective and all of these things. And then, of course, we put on top of that cake something that people can really relate to and connect to.
Well, and I imagine, this year, the high holidays were, that much more important in light of, the past 2 years and what was going on with the election. And you feel that more people are finding their way into your doors in light of what New York City has been like?
Absolutely. Look, people need, unfortunately, for the Jewish community here in New York, people need that connection. They need the community. They need a safe space, a sanctuary from what's going on otherwise in the world. And the question of Jewish identity is becoming more important than ever. Look, to be honest, we've seen this after October 7th. Our community is very much connected to Israel, loves Israel. I'm an Israeli myself. So obviously, we've seen a lot of people looking for that connection, coming to synagogue in numbers that we haven't seen before. I also want to add that since for the last over 10 years now, we've been streaming our services and using technology and social media to really find people where they are and bring them close to our community. And we've seen that trend of more and more engagement really from all over the world, but especially, as you said, here in New York, people show up. They need to be around community.
Thank you so much, Cantor Schwartz. I look forward to my next trip to New York, and I'll come to Shabbat services.
You're always welcome. Thank you.
Thanks. And that is all for this week's episode of Jewish World Weekly. We sure hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to head over to the i24 News, a YouTube channel, website, of course, our social media platforms to catch up on previous episodes. Thank you again for watching. I'm Emily Francis, and shalom from Tel Aviv.